Wow, wow, wow. Look at this sea of red. And is this crypto's greatest trap? The market made new lows, at least on Bitcoin, and this has been one absolutely insane, crazy week. I cannot believe it. We have so much that we have to go through, and I'm very excited to do the show. Look at this. Everything is red except for pretty much Hex and TWT in the top 100 over here, at least on this list. And yeah, I want to get straight into it. And first and foremost, Arthur Hayes, who is somebody that I highly respect and I think has very accurate calls on the markets and just kind of a macroeconomic perspective. Very, very solid guy. He says FTX equals Lehman Brothers. And that was on the bottom. The SPX hit 666 in March of 2009. Therefore, 17,500 BTC is at risk. $17,500, of course, that is. And then he said, how about them puts now? So pretty much he is calling for still more downside. And will this contagion spread? So let's go through this from DGen Trading. I want to take you through this thread very, very quickly. And I do have a couple of threads because just so much has happened. And I told you yesterday it's going to be like a puzzle piece coming together bit by bit, and the whole story will unfold. And I'm sure there's still so much more to the story than meets the eye. And he says here that contagion is here, and I'm going to show you why we are absolutely wrecked. And he says FTX accepting the bailout means that they effectively have a hole. Sure, CZ will bail out FTX, but he's not going to bail out Alameda. And then he said, CZ, let me know if I'm wrong. And he says, Alameda has been going out and borrowing from all of the lenders via giving FTT as collateral, and CZ will probably let it go to zero. Now, I want you to understand as well, with regards to buying the FTT token, I don't recommend that, and I'll show you in a bit why. I don't think that it's going to recover, and I think that it could quite easily go to zero, as it says in this thread over here. And you also have to ask yourself, why would anybody have trust in using FTX in the future after all of this? And therefore, they don't need the token, right? Use the FTT or the native token of the exchange to try and save on fees. Why would you need that token when nobody wants to use that exchange? So he says, yeah, this means that the lenders are underwater. They now own illiquid FTT, and that CZ is perfectly happy to let it go to zero. The two biggest lenders, BlockFi and Genesis, probably have 10 billion balance sheets. And how much of that was lent to Alameda? At least a few $1 billion of that 10 billion. Since Alameda is not being bailed out, the lenders will have to absorb the full hit. But they just got wrecked by 3AC and the miners. And then he says, at this point, I expect the lenders to go underwater who deposited to them. We are going to see a credit contraction of at least $10 billion within the space. Expect all Solana and Sam's coins to be dumped to oblivion by lenders trying to get any money back that they can. And I want to remind you, I've mentioned this on the show before, Solana in the first round of raise, at least the first funding round that they had, they got those tokens at 4 cents, guys, 4 cents. So it still could be a long way down. And is this the big, massive move that we've been waiting for a number of months? Well, it's looking very, very close. Using our volatility indicator on the bottom over here, it has started to create a little bit of upside momentum, but I still can't quite say that it is the actual move. But I would suspect with tomorrow's CPI data that is coming out, everybody seems to have completely forgotten about that. That could quite easily be the final nail in the coffin that would get this running up and break below the lower Bollinger Bands. But we'll get into the low time frames in just a moment's time, and then I'll show you what I'm looking at, where to flip actually short and start to aggressively short the market. We haven't seen that level yet, but it's very, very close. So looking at this tweet over here, from Wazzy Lawyer, and he says, number one, I'm not going to go through this whole thread, but he says, number one, okay, so just processing this out loud because I'm pretty mind blown that FTX chose, of all the options, a buyout from Binance. These were the options open to SBF. 1, so A, seek emergency debt financing. B, seek new money investment. C, liquidate assets and or buy time. And then he goes on, and I'll just go on to the conclusion. He says the conclusion, FTX must have had let's just zoom in, a massive hole in its balance sheet, likely Alameda, that could not be plugged by other finances, which forced SBF to kiss the ring. But what now? CZ is only buying FTX, which means the liability likely owing from Alameda to FTX remains. And he pretty much just explains that this is quite a bad situation. And if you look at this from Lucas, he goes on, and I'll retweet this. I don't want to go through this whole tweet over here because there is a lot of threads. But he basically says that he found evidence that FTX might have provided a massive bailout for Alameda in Q2, which now came back to haunt them. So there is a deep, dark rabbit hole over here, and it's absolutely insane when you look at it. These are the FTX investors that you need to consider, who pretty much will be looking for funds. And pretty much, guys, it's insane. SBF says a huge thank you to CZ Binance and all of our supporters. This is a user-centric development that benefits the entire industry. CZ has done and will continue to do an incredible job of building out the global crypto ecosystem and creating a freer economic world. I don't really enjoy hearing a freer economic world from someone like SBF. I definitely think he's in there with the globalists, and it's just absolutely, absolutely insane. And Dylan Leclerc says, well, what if CZ just wanted SBF to admit that FTX was insolvent and then he backs out of the deal? Because remember, this whole deal of CZ and Binance buying out FTX, it has to go through terms and conditions and this and that. It's going to take quite some time. It's not just going to happen overnight. So keep a close, keen eye on the development of this. This story is not yet over. And according to the charts, I think the story doesn't end too well. It looks like there probably is more downside. And can you look at the cheek of SBF? He says it's that time of the week, again, not financial advice. And he's showing a $4 million buy on FTT. But as I've just mentioned to you, you have to ask yourself, will users trust using FTX in the future? And I think not. I think they'll be very, very skeptical of doing that. And therefore, what is the point of having an FTT token? And look at what Dylan Leclerc says over here again, just to re-emphasize the lack of trust that people are going to have in there. He says, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news. And I'm so sorry, by the way, if any of you have funds that are stuck on FTX, because I'm now the bearer of bad news by sharing this to you. But he says, but if it isn't clear already, if you still have funds on FTX, they're gone. You're an unsecured creditor. The probable outcome is Chapter 11 and class action lawsuit that will draw out for years, where you'll get around 10 cents to 30 cents on each dollar that you actually had invested or on the exchange. And that is catastrophic. And really, my heart goes out to you guys. I'm so sorry that is the case. And I really recommend using decentralized exchanges. I think they're going to be a massive thing for the future because of stuff like this. Anytime that you have a central authority, you're going to be at risk. And this was the whole point of crypto, right? Is to eliminate the middleman and take full charge of your own finances and your own coins. And if you don't own the keys to your coins, then pretty much they are not your coins, and you are at risk of losing them. And he says, similarly, expecting CZ to come in with billions of cash purely to make users whole does not make sense from a business perspective. I'd be happy to be wrong here, hoping for the best for all users involved. So basically, I just think there's more to the story. This is absolutely wild. I don't really know what's going on yet, and we need to wait and see. And then CZ came out and he said 2 big lessons, and these are true, what he's saying with regards to these lessons. Number one, never use a token that you created as collateral, because this is what SBF did. He used the FTT token as collateral to try and invest in more projects, raise more money, and his project, or at least his business, was already making like 8-9 figures a freaking day, and then he still got greedy, and greed, leverage, alcohol, women, these are the problems of life that pretty much cause most men to fall, is by chasing too many of the wrong things. And you need to really ground yourself and take a step back, a little bit of humble pie, and not get too greedy, and you can stay ahead. And I'll show you one way that I've gone wrong, at least even in this trading competition. I've run 2 accounts, one obviously on BitGet, one on ByBit. The one where I tried to run aggressively and greedy, I liquidated, as you guys know. The other one, I'm up in 11th position now. So And that's using the conservative approach of trading the way that I would usually trade and not getting too aggressive. So be very, very careful. Number 2, he says, don't borrow if you run a crypto business. Don't use capital efficiently. And he puts in inverted commas there, and have a large reserve. Binance has never used BNB for collateral, and we have never taken on debt. And then you have here a quote. So from Martin Shkreli on Up Only TV. So who's checking Binance balance sheet? And that is the question. Who is checking their balance sheet? These are things that you need to be cautious of. And Vinny came out all the way back in 2018, probably expecting that this was going to happen in the last bear market, but now it looks like it's taking place right now. And he warned of this. He said, I suspect there are a number of crypto exchanges that are currently financing their operations by running fractional reserves and utilizing deposits for paying for operations. Ironically, we still need more transparency in crypto, and they're not your keys, not your coins. So just like the Fed, fractional reserve banking within our very own crypto. And this has always been one of the major risk factors within crypto, if you ask me, is having too many powerful centralized exchanges that come out and they create fractional reserves. That therefore, and you have leverage, things like that. Therefore, are there really only 21 million Bitcoin? Because they can over leverage them. They can issue paperback Bitcoin. Then on leverage, you can trade with 10 Bitcoin when you actually only have 1. And these things move the market. And it is a sad reality of the way that the financial systems do work when you get the big guys involved. Wall Street. Remember, we all wanted Wall Street to come into crypto, and look where it's got us now. So he says, I've been very suspicious of the fake trade volumes that have been showing up. This is in 2018, but it is still relevant right now. As more and more legit and regulated exchanges start trading crypto, it will cause a real supply-demand imbalance and a run on the exchanges, so to speak. That's when things get really interesting. When depositors do a run on a particular coin and want to move to risk-free exchanges with higher prices, the fractional exchanges will have to deliver those coins to their customers. And if they can't, that's when it all begins to unravel, which is what we're seeing right now. And then he says, this is just a thesis linked to how things start to decouple, and we have a healthier, functional global crypto market. A solid foundation will aid us immensely in building toward the next bull run, which could take months or years. I prefer that we clean up before then. And doesn't look like we've cleaned up, if you ask me. So I really, really recommend checking out the decentralized exchanges, the DEXs. Biswap is one of them that I recommend. And there is a link in the description below. If you do want to check it out, you get up to 75% off on all the trading fees, and you'll get half of your money back rewarded in the Biswap token. So take a look, use this link. Don't Google it, because you might get taken to a fraudulent exchange, which can siphon all of your funds by wiping your MetaMask. So make sure you only click on the link below. Okay, into the actual charts and the price action of what's going on. So let's have a look yesterday. Yesterday, we literally made new lows. As you can see, relative to June the 13th, or that low that we had. Let's see, what did that come in at? The low was 17,592, and this low came in at $17,114. You do have the RSI, which is now looking like a massive rejection from the trend line. It peeked its head out ever so slightly. So on the third touch over there, 1, 2, 3, rejected from that zone, and it's looking like an enormous bull trap at the moment. Price came down. It wicked just below the lower Bollinger Band, and consequently has bounced back up. This is what the weekly chart is telling you. Stuck below all the important moving averages. This really opens up the door for potential capitulation. Now, many of you may be wondering, well, was that already a capitulation? I say no way. That's not a capitulation. Capitulation would be probably another 30 to 40% down from here, anywhere in between the 10 and 14K region. If you wick into that and you have a strong reaction to the upside within that same weekly candle, that would be your capitulation. And then you're ready to reset and start a new market cycle. I don't believe that we're there yet. I think there's a chance that this is still going to be a slow grind, and you'll see on the low time frames as well why and what I'm looking at, which I'll cover in just a moment's time. So looking at this chart over here, this is our short, medium, and long-term moving average. As you would know, this has kept you safe for a very, very long period of time if you were using the strategy price stuck below all of those moving averages, and all of them angled in a downward posture, means that you want to be completely out of the market. You definitely don't want to have any long positions at the moment. Look, hodl positions, building a long-term portfolio, as I've mentioned before, dollar cost averaging, that's all good and well. If you have a solid plan over the next 12 to 18 months, dollar cost averaging on a weekly basis, I think that you'll do absolutely phenomenally well. I do think that things will bounce back, but I still wouldn't allocate 100% of my capital into a dollar cost average portfolio over 18 months. I would rather allocate 30 to 50% in case this time is different, because it could be. The macroeconomic environment is very different at the moment. So very, very important chart over here is the DEXI. Now let's zoom in on this. Okay, it's been following our lines almost to perfection that we drew all the way back on the 31st of October. So DEXI came up, rejected almost from the top, didn't quite hit that trend line, came back down, broke below this trend line now. But I mean, look, you could probably move that ever so slightly, and they do still touch. So I won't label it as completely broken yet. Yeah, that still fits. So technically it's right at support, but as you would know, I'm more focused on horizontals, and this is the main area to clear for the DEXI. The DEXI breaks this down, and there is a chance that things will change for risk on assets, and then the worst might be over for crypto, but we're not quite there yet. If anything, I would expect this to probably bounce from this level. Let's look at the stock market. Okay, stock market has not sold off in the same way that crypto has. It's still stuck within this expanding megaphone pattern to the downside, and it's come into the horizontal box a couple of times and used that as a rejection zone or resistance zone. So it might have a little bit more upside if it pushes into here. I probably think it rolls over again. And then, as you would know, we're looking at the main target still much lower. So not much to see there. But what there is something to see in is the Bitcoin dominance. And have a look at that sell-off. The Bitcoin dominance came straight down to this level. It tagged the lower line, the range low, and is proceeding to bounce since then. If you use the other Bitcoin dominance chart that I use, which excludes the stable coins, then the range looks a little bit different, but it's the same idea. It's recaptured the range low, and you'll be expecting this to pick up. Typically, market share goes into Bitcoin on major sell-offs, so it's not necessarily a bullish sign that you see the Bitcoin dominance bouncing. You do want to keep a close eye on that 10-year yield. Let's take a look at that because it should be quite relevant at the moment. Okay, 10-year yield has been flirting with a breakdown of this trend line, kind of broke it down, recaptured it, got back up. Kind of sticky situation. I don't have too much to comment until it's below this level. Break down below this level or break above that level, and then we'll have more information. For the time being, I would say that this is the range that it's caught within, pretty much stuck within a range. We need to see that break out of one side. The Bitcoin inverted chart using the 3-day chart that we have over here, you can see yesterday I said probably this is going to confirm the next higher low. Remember, high highs and high lows on an inverted chart is actually a bearish thing, and looks like we have a confirmed higher low. Now we need to see over the next 2 days and 17 hours before this closes, are we going to close with yet a higher high? So we have a higher low. Are we going to have a higher high and break out of this range? If we do that, as soon as you close probably even a 4 or 5 hour candle below the range low, in this case the range high, pretty much that opens the door to short, and you'll have a breakdown. And I'll show you what that looks like. I think it's just below 18,000. Start to close under $18,000, and I think that you're going to lead into a major capitulation, 30 to 40% down. So Bitcoin on the Gaussian channel tried to peak above over here, and I told you guys be careful, could be a potential trap. You want to close multiple days above this, and you want this to start to roll over and turn green, and consequently look at that massive sell-off, came straight down. 20,500 was always our pivot level to flip completely short and exit all the long positions. And I got a lot of messages from you guys that thanking me that you pretty much stayed out of the market and you have a lot of your money in stable. So congratulations to you. I'm really glad that this channel was able to help you. If this did help you, by the way, give the video a like, hit the bell notification, and subscribe. It does help the content get out there. Looking at this one over here, looks like another bull trap in the same way that you had over here as well. And then this is the next bull trap. I would expect the super guppy indicator to turn red, and then ultimate support lies, as you guys would know, within the gray box on the bottom over here, which lines up with all of this support on the left-hand side. That's 10 to 12K level. So I'm still watching for that zone. Using the daily chart with our different moving averages and exponential moving averages, they are again starting to cross down, which adds extra bearishness to the cause. But the most important thing that we focus on is if price is below here, you're pretty much in a risk-off environment, and it looks like it's going to be very difficult for price to get back above that zone. So those are the medium-term timeframes, the daily charts, 3-day chart. You have lower highs 1, 2, 3. Pretty much if we start to close here, we're going to be making low lows as well. But have a look at this, guys. Let's grab a box. I want to just show you something. So this is really the pretty much as low as we can go. This is your absolute line in the sand within this zone. And I'll zoom in for you. You start to see candle closes below here, anywhere under $18,000, that would start to signal your entry to go short and to start taking short positions. I know you might think, oh, well, the market has sold off a lot. But if you go and have a look at what happened in 2018, we were at about $6,000 in a similar range, right? Making just pretty much knocking onto that, the 18K. I compare that to 6K, hitting onto 6K, 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 bounce a little bit higher, 6K, 6K, 6K. Everybody said the 6K can't break, it's the bottom. And once you had, I think it was even a 4-hour candle close just under that $6,000 floor level. If you had shorted that, you would have shorted down 50%, meaning if you're on even 2x leverage, you've doubled your money. And the 2x leverage is very low. Show us the competition results. Yes, I'll show you. I'll show you the competition results. We're getting there very shortly. So that would be your chance to start to short and looking for profits, to take your profits between $14K and $10,000 is what I'm watching. Okay, Bitcoin over here. Okay, I'll open the competition things in a second. I won't forget. Okay, I gave this chart yesterday. I said to you guys, look, break of structure and the trend line. Which structure did we break? Yesterday, we broke this. We made a low. Soon as we broke that, soon as we broke this trend line that was holding price up, and as soon as we broke the horizontal, which was that key level of 20,500, I told you, exit the market. There's trouble coming. And we proceeded to sell off. Then I told you, watch for a potential bounce at the range low support. So we went through the range low support, and I said to you that you want to be taking your profits pretty much within this triangle. So if you are stuck in your positions, when the market bounces within this triangle is where you want to take your profit. So underside retest and then sell those positions to exit the market. It wicked directly into there, pretty much hit it. My triangle is a bit more to the right because I must be honest, I didn't expect it to happen that quickly, but it went straight into that triangle, exited all positions. I know most of you might not have had the psychological ability to process how quick things were happening. And you might have thought that things are going to absolutely start to rally from here and the bottom is in, CZ is saving the world. But it hasn't been the case. Now, where are we at? Okay. So now we are sitting right. I'm going to just move this up. Let's move that up, make it neater. Now we are sitting right at the range low support. So what do I have to say about this? What I have to say is, let's move that up. What I have to say is that if price can reclaim the range low and hold there for multiple hours, then I will reevaluate. Then there might actually be a possibility that it's reclaiming the range like this. Up, reclaims the range, hold. Then I would be willing to potentially take a long, very careful long. By the way, I'm only talking about my trading account now. Definitely not taking a long with my main account, my main portfolio, my hodl positions. None of that. I'm talking about my trading account, this BitGet ByBit trading competition. I'd be willing to potentially take a long, carefully, looking for a push up into the mid-range. And then if it clears that, I'll go into the range high. And then again, I'll continue to play it. That means that the range is continuing to hold. But how would that look? So what I would typically do is I go into a very low time frame. In this instance, I would want to go as low as like a 5-minute chart. Here we go. So really, I'd want to see a proper break of structure. When you look at this 5-minute chart, you could arguably already be scalping within this zone, because technically you do have pretty much relative to this area, you now have your next high low. So you can see strong downtrend, strong downtrend throughout. Low, okay. Price comes up, break of structure happens over here. You make a higher high, higher low, still holding that, higher high. So technically speaking, you could be bidding within this region if you were a scalp trader. Remember, this is highly risky stuff that I do not recommend for the average person. This is for people that are pretty much like full-time traders and you're looking at the charts all the time. You'd be looking at something like this anywhere within this region over here on a 5-minute chart. Again, I'm on a 5-minute chart, guys. Very, very low time frame. You'd be looking for this level to get defended. Your stop goes just below there. And then you're looking to take profit at the mid-range. I'm not sure yet I'm going to take any trades. I'll have a look later. At the moment, I want to be in capital preservation mode. There's no need to play this highly volatile, risky market. If I were to even take this trade, I'd be going on something like 2x leverage. So be very, very careful out there with your trades. Okay, moving on. Let's go on to, trading competition. So there I'm 90% up, ranked position 11th. You can go through the list. So there's my account. There you go, kyle@gmail.com, 90% up. And then I can show you as well the ByBit one. So this is the result of being greedy. I made it into the top 20, I think, on the second day, running like 25, 30x trades. And then, yeah, making big mistakes. And then here's my position. Just let it load. Okay, there we go. 99.9% down, 1,368th position. I traded $112,000 in volume. There is no need to be greedy. 90% up in just a few weeks is already taking on more risk than one should. That is not the way that I would be trading my personal portfolio. This is purely for the competition. I'm already trading at 3 times more risk than I usually would just to get to that. And the ByBit one, I was trading at about 10 times more risk than I usually would. So that's a lesson for you guys. When you do lose an account like this, there's absolutely no possible way that you will recover this. You may as well just start a new account. If you're in the competition, you got no chance. 99.9% down means that in order for you to recover this account, you'll need pretty much like 1,000x return on whatever's left in this account. Let's say it's under $1. I'll need over 1,000x return to get it back to 250. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. Forget it. So I want to touch on one more thing over here. The BBWP, which is the volatility indicator, which is the Bollinger Band with percentile, shows how far expanded the Bollinger Bands are, thus indicating how much volatility is in the market. 4 hours, as you can see, have really reached on Bitcoin. They redlined at the top. The daily, though, is only just kicking on up to the upside. The white line over here is the moving average for that, which means it has a lot of room still to go. And it's coming off of extremely low reads. And this should be a real canary in the coal mine for you. This should be something scary that you focus on, because the 2-day has also only just started to lift off after very, very low volatility, meaning that if the trend is towards the downside and the volatility is kicking on up towards the upside, that means that the strength of the downtrend is probably going to continue. There's a lot more room to go. Let's look at the 5-day chart over here. 5 days also been incredibly low. The lowest that it was in July of 2020. But you can see that the blue is crossing above the white, which means that this move is starting to take place right now. Let's look one more, which is on the weekly chart. I want to see what that looks like. The weekly is also at absolute critically low levels, which means when this move does happen, it's going to line up with the volatility that I'm showing you in this chart over here. That is going to be a macro changing move. So the market is going to either start a new bull run, or we are going to go into that depression phase and all the way down to 10K, which is what I lean towards, as I've told you guys so many times before. That brings us to the end, guys. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please do me an enormous favor and give this video a like, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel if you are not already subscribed. I'll keep you all up to date on Twitter and in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, there is also a link below. And then again, check out Biswap. There should also be a card that will pop up on the top of the screen for those of you that are watching later. And that's it from me. I will see you all on the next video. Have an absolutely stellar day. Cheers for now.